Hi, I'm Aaron Dean, and this is Advocate Today. It was a weekend of Pride celebrations across the country. Chicago, Houston, Raleigh, San Francisco, and New York are just some of the many cities hosting Pride events. New York's celebration marked 54 years. The celebration grew out of the Stonewall riots in 1969. Equal Pride, the Advocate Channel, were proud to partner with Virgin Hotels Pride Fest and Planet Pride for concerts and parties on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And of course, on Sunday, thousands gathered for the Pride Parade along 25th Street. In Raleigh, protesters were met loudly and proudly with love.
I read it to you what the Bible says about this.
Thousands gathered for the 11th annual Out Raleigh Pride celebration. Protesters at the event were drowned and blocked by fans and banners. There were no violent confrontations reported. Delaware State Senator Sarah McBride is setting her sights on Washington, where she could become the first trans lawmaker in U.S. history. McBride is running for Delaware's only seat in the House of Representatives. Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester is vacating her seat to run for Senate. McBride interned for President Obama. She then took her talents to the Human Rights Campaign before running for Delaware State Senate, becoming the first trans person to become a state senator. There's a certain responsibility that comes with representing marginalized communities on screen. And with the hit series Pose, the impact to the queer community was profound. Actor Ryan Jamaal Swain's role as Damon in Pose broke barriers with his performance. He gave me his take on his responsibility to the community and growing up as queer in the Deep South. What your upbringing was like? What was childhood like for you?
My mother, she was a young mother when she had me, started having kids. She had me right out of high school into kind of her adulthood. And so for me, growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, was really, I had a young family, right? Oftentimes when people tap in the news articles or the headlines, it's like, they talk about and they know the traumatic aspects of my life and traumatic aspects of my upbringing. But more than ever, truth be told, I had a really good upbringing as far as my immediate, like my solar system, my grandparents, my grandmother, my mom, and my siblings. And so for me, uh, growing up in the South was a bit, it was interesting because in this nucleus where I felt loved, on the outskirts of that kind of solar system were just like things of hate and just prejudice and homophobia and all of these things. So it was just like in my immediate home base, like what I'm growing up, the people that are around me, uh, I feel good. But when I step outside of that safety net, it became a whole different story. It was kind of weird going to a performing arts high school, which was also a boarding school inside of Birmingham, Alabama, where there's this incubator for creative thought. And then outside of it, everybody just looks at everybody as weird or othered or on the margins. So queerness and everything was always around me. And, being unique was always around me and in me. And I was steeped in that and cultivated in that. But then when it came outside of like, you know, Birmingham, Alabama as the city, there was some bit of dissonance. There was a moment in my life I thought I found out that there was this disconnection of like my mother would be at my dance recitals, but then my then stepfather at that time wouldn't come to those, but he would be front and center for my football games, right? And so there was this thing that was happening inside of a little black boy, a little child, where it's just like the people that are supposed to be your people that you're looking up to. And at that time, my father wasn't in my life that much. That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way and made me feel like something that I was doing was wrong.
Well, this year marks 5 years since Pose premiered. In a recent social media post, you stated how the show not only changed your life but expanded your world. I remember when I discovered Pose. I was like, "What show is this, child?" And I found it in the middle of season 1, and I was like, "Well, let me go back and watch it." And from the first episode, my mouth dropped like in amazement because And I say that specifically, and I have to give you your flowers. Your character, Damon, how do I say it without crying?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
You played the hell out of that role, and it was so nice and it was so refreshing to see, someone that looked like me, or who identified in the ways that I did on camera. And I do also have to say, you did have me in my room trying to learn how to do it the old way. And I was like, I'm about to, trying to do dips and stuff. Honey, my knees hurt still to this day, and I'll never do it again.
Right.
But just to know, I guess, to ask you, like, to know that you made such a mark on, television, in the lives of queer people everywhere. How does that feel?
It's humbling. It's a huge responsibility. It's also where I belong. And it took me a very long time to come to that last part of that share. Like, that's where I belong at. That's what is my charge, a part of my charge, because nobody really teaches Black and brown people, specifically young queer Black and brown folk, how to deal with success. They always teach you the slings and pains of how you gotta, raise yourself up and, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and figure this thing out. And you're gonna have to be better than everybody. And you're gonna have 10 times, you're gonna fall down 9 times, get up 10. But what happens actually when, everything aligns for you? It's a very powerful thing that I think Black and brown folk need to start tapping into, and just people that have been on the margins, that have been pushed to the margins, about what does freedom dreaming look like? Dreaming beyond your circumstance, and as a means of hope. And Damon specifically was a vessel for me to remember my softness, to never negate that in the pursuit of finding myself and having this real truthful queer experience on this journey, in this life, in this body, in this time, in this place. And being able to know that we did something. We didn't know that the show was going to be successful. We knew that it was going to be special, but we didn't know that it was going to have the impact that it did, because we had never seen something like this. And oftentimes queer folk, sometimes we don't have our mentors or people that we can, or things that we can look towards. We have to find ourselves in scattered representation. But being able to be a part of this ensemble, this story, in such a major way, and to give breath to not only my story but yours and so many other people, the best offering. And I'm still living inside of that blessing and inside of that gratitude, because it really changed my life. So I don't want to get emotional on that, but it's a powerful, yeah, it's a powerful offering.
We tend to have those scattered pieces of representation in, television and movies and things like that. Because I can remember growing up, I feel like we all watched Noah's Ark. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And, I went from, as a preteen teenager, watching Noah's Ark in my room with the door closed, with the volume down on my laptop, like, I got to watch this, because it's like, these guys are me, to then feeling comfortable to watching, Pose in the living room and not caring what the other people say, to, then watching Legendary and talking about it everywhere. So it's just like, it's nice to see the evolution. Of course, we still have a long way to go.
We did have that parallel, because, honey, I was sitting in my room, like turning the volume very, very low just to see what remnant of myself that I could find. And beyond Noah's Ark, because that was revolutionary. We have to, raise them up, and I'm excited about this next future iteration for them as well. But also just like finding yourself beyond that, trying to find yourself in these queer stories, which oftentimes the people on the screen didn't look like us. So it's I have nothing against my brothers and sisters of different things, but and my siblings as well. But it's different.
Thanks for watching Advocate Today. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can even subscribe on our Advocate channel YouTube page. Make sure you do it, okay? For Advocate Today, I'm Aaron Dean.